Today, what I'd like to continue discussing and talking about is this central sort of premise of when we feel an unpleasant sensation, how our brain interprets it as something that is dangerous. And um, evolutionarily, for acute pain, this is an important sort of survival signal, because when you feel pain, you it'll make you change what you're doing. It'll make you protect yourself to some degree. And if you broke your bone, if you tore a tendon or a ligament, if you're gathering fruits and vegetables and you stab your finger with a thorn, you need to be more careful or change what you're doing in terms of gathering the fruits and vegetables, or you need to go and get the bone fixed or repaired, or take care of the ligament that was torn or the tendon that was torn. And so it's a really important mechanism to actually help us maintain our human structure, let's say. And so we will feel a powerful stimulus, and that powerful stimulus can be from heat. Let's say we have what's called thermoreceptors. So we have receptors that can monitor the temperature. When that gets too much, the receptors activate, they send a signal. That signal, as a sensation, might feel like a burning sensation, for instance. But our pain is actually created by the brain. That pain is an experience that is put together by all the sensations that we're feeling at that moment, as well as all the emotions that arise as well. Okay, because that pain signal, what we've learned from studying the brain in people who are activated with a painful stimulus, is that there's actually over 44 areas of the brain that the pain signal can go to, including things that regulate emotions, including areas that regulate memory, including areas that regulate cognition, executive functioning, planning, self-referential areas of what that means to us, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. So pain is actually created by the brain, and it's a combination of the sensations that you feel from whatever acute injury you're having, plus the emotions that are simultaneously arising. Okay. Many of those emotions are probably related to fear, maybe anger, maybe stress, sadness, anxiety. What is going to happen to me? Oh my goodness, I just broke my leg. Oh my goodness, I can't play in the championship game because I just broke my arm, for instance. And so there's a lot going on, despite just the broken arm, that's actually creating the experience of pain. Okay. And that's really important. So a lot of those things are really important for our survival, because if we do have a burn, we need to take care of the wound. If we are having a heart attack, for instance, and we're feeling pounding chest pain, we need to get to the emergency room to have somebody try to open up the block. If our bone is broken, we need somebody to repair it, okay? Or allow it to heal. And so that's important, right? But it's this element of fear. It's this element of fear which is what I really like to kind of talk about today. Even if it's a danger signal, hey, danger, you just burnt your finger, right? You put your hand over that stove, or you put your hand in the oven, ouch, you burnt it. It was 350 degrees, and you touched the side of the stove. Okay, you're going to feel that sensation coming from the hand on that burnt stove. Your brain is going to sense a danger signal. Hey, danger, you got to take care of that, okay? But then there's the added componentry to it, which is that emotional response, the fear layer that comes on. Okay. And the fear layer, or the stress, or the anxiety, what it can actually do is it actually can amplify the strong sensations that are coming into the brain and amplify the perception of those sensations, such that the fear or the anxiety can actually amplify the experience of pain and make it much, much, much worse for us. All right. And so in this lesson, what I'd like to look at is really that fear component. Can we start to kind of look at, wow, even in acute pain, we know this happens in chronic pain, but even in acute pain, I go down, I lift something, ouch. Can I see, now that I know this, can I see if I can accept the sensation as it is coming from my back or my hand or whatever it might be? I can accept that. I say, okay, I got injured. My body's sending me a danger signal. Can I turn down the volume on the fear? Can I turn down the volume on the anxiety, such that I don't amplify the experience of pain for myself, and I actually can stay, despite the injury, in a relative sense of calmness? Okay, just broke my arm. Yes, it hurts. Have you sort of looked at your arm and be like, yep, that really hurts. But there's this element of just okayness. It's sort of like, okay, well, what do we got to do now? Right? Now the executive functioning aspect of the brain is coming on, the prefrontal cortex, and it's saying, okay, I can't drive. Can I get a ride? Do I have to call 911? Let me get to a person, place, or thing that can help me in this immediate time if I need it, right? But can we separate that sensation and the injury itself, right? Because we got to accept that, from the fear, the anxiety, the sadness, whatever that emotional component is that comes on, that can amplify the pain. And so, one of my favorite sort of metaphors to this is, how we treat pain in children, or kids that are learning how to walk or run. Maybe kids that do put their hand on a hot stove and pull it off and go, what was that? Right? They've never felt this before, and it burned, right? And they start crying. We could take any example. If you have children, or if you care for children in any way, as an auntie, as a grandmother or grandfather, as a caretaker, and in any way, you've probably experienced a child that was doing something and fell or scraped themselves. Okay. And so taking into account what you already did naturally if you ever have any of these experience, to exactly what we were just talking about. Okay. So let's just say you are taking care of a child and the child puts their hand on a burning stove or is running and falls and injures their arm. Okay. The first thing that we try not to do, right, as parents or caretakers, is we don't want to react to them, to the injury. Right? They are experiencing that. When we react to it in a certain way, let's say we react to it with a horrendous face, right? What happens? How many times have they looked up at you and you were and they hadn't started anything yet? They were kind of trying to figure out what was going on, and they see your face and they actually start crying in terror because of your reaction and not of their experience. Okay, so this happens frequently, right? So as the mirror of that, not trying not to react, right? And just seeing what their innate, what their endogenous, what their own authentic experiences. Because I'm sure we've all been in the situation where sort of you've seen a kid fall and you're like, oh my goodness, that really hurt. And they get up and they kind of brush it off and keep running. You're like, wow, that was really cool, right? You're like, I'm not sure I would have been able to do that. Wow, how'd they do that? Right? And they didn't. They were just kind of like, hey, I'm good, right? And yet maybe they have a scrape on their knee or something where they could have reacted in a different way. But you watch them. That's all good. Okay, they continue to go. You don't even have to do anything, right? That's pain management 101. Okay, hey, let's just see how they're reacting to this injury. No reaction, great, perfect. Let the body heal on its own. Okay. Now let's say they do react in some way. They don't see it from you, so it's purely endogenous. It comes up from them. Okay, and here it is, and they scrape their hand or they landed on their arm and their arm hurts. And you're not sure if it's broken or not, or they put their hand on a burning stove and they start crying. Right? And we go up to them, right? We go up to them, and is the first thing we say, you idiot? Maybe some people do that, right? But if we're looking at this from a fear, anxiety, if we're looking at this from the componentry of, hey, there's a sensation that's being interpreted by the brain, and there's emotions as well. Those emotions are most likely going to be things like stress, fear, anxiety, sadness, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. How good does it feel to us when we're made to feel like we're idiots for doing what we did? Not very good. In fact, that's probably going to tap into that negative emotion, which is probably going to actually shift the pain experience and heighten it. Okay. As opposed to being more loving, more compassionate, right? And going up to them. And what do we usually try to do? We usually try to comfort them in some way, right? Oh, let me see it, right? Show me your injury. Show me your boo-boo, right? How many times have I done it with my kids where it's like, oh, show it to me. And they show it to me and go, it's right there, and they're pointing to it. I'm like, that looks, can I kiss the boo-boo? Yeah, kiss the, okay. How does it feel now? Better. What are we doing in that? In that whole process, right? What we're trying to do, we're not actually trying to do it. It's just sort of natural human connection. Okay. Is we're making the person feel safe or safer. We're making the person feel okay. We're making the person feel as if, yes, even though it maybe looks ugly or dangerous or something like that, that's a good signal because it's acute pain. And so we might need to take care of it. We might need to do something about it, but we don't need that fear. We don't need the loneliness that appears. We don't need the anxiety or the stress. Okay. And so what we're doing is we're in my opinion, we're actually helping that part of it. Right. So it's sort of like, oh, let me see it. Right. That's human connection, relationship. Right. How is there a relationship with this other person? Showing, sharing. Oh my goodness. You know what? What's the next thing we say? It's gonna be okay. Right. So here they are. Let's say that, okay, brain is doing an appropriate job, sensing it as a danger signal. They're having sensory input from their wherever body part it's coming from. Hey, that sensory input, I have some cells that have been injured. I see blood. Maybe my bone is broken, right? It's going to be okay. Right? The sensory componentry from that is going to the brain. The brain is interpreting that correctly as dangerous, but we don't need the fear. We don't need the anxiety, right? We can tune that down. Okay. And when we try to tune that down, we decrease the brain's going into high alertness, going into that super stress response. Okay. And so as caretakers, we've actually all done this. It's going to be okay. Let's go wash it off. Let's go rub it. Let's go put a Band-Aid on it. Right? Because even putting a Band-Aid on a boo-boo for a child can make it be okay. Oh, there's a Band-Aid on it. So like now it's fine, right? Because it's covered. Okay. Let's wash it off. Right? Let's say even it is broken and you do need to go to the emergency room. What do we also say? It's still going to be okay. Right? How many times it's just like, oh my God, we're going to the emergency room. This is the worst thing I could possibly. Well, maybe some people do that, right? But what is that going to do to my system if I have that broken arm? It's just going to put it in more high alert. Now, guess what? Now I'm releasing more cortisol, more adrenaline, getting me more into the fight or flight response because this person, my caretaker, is also stressing out and freaking out. And now that puts me into more of a heightened state. And guess what? Now I'm going to start freaking out. And my pain is going to be amplified based on that. So even if it is broken, what do we say? It's going to be okay. I'm going to be with you, right? You go to the emergency room. It's going to be okay. That's what they do here, right? There's experts here that are they're gonna take an X-ray. How cool of it? You know, we're gonna see your bone, right? Like that's neat, right? And it's going to be okay, right? I can almost guarantee you when we're taking care of children, there's not a single place where you're going to say it's not going to be okay. We're going to continuously, it's going to be okay. 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 It's going to be okay, right? Even if they get pain meds and they start falling asleep, right? Because now they're like, let's say they're sedated from the medication because it hurts so much. And what are you doing? You're holding them, right? You're caressing them. It's going to be okay. What are you telling them? It's going to be okay. We can decrease the fear. We can decrease the anxiety. We can decrease the worry. We can cause that high alert system to kind of rest a little bit. Let's rest it. Even if we're turning it down from like a 10 to an 8 or a 7, that's still what we call modulation. That's still a modulatory capacity. Okay. So this is really, to me, this is really important because I think the way that we treat children, or we should treat children with compassion and love, is the way that we should also treat ourselves. That even when we do injure ourselves acutely, that we really try to tell ourselves that we're going to be okay. That even if we need surgery or we need some sort of medical intervention, that even with that we're going to be okay. And to try to just decrease that, to try to really kind of work on noticing the fear and anxiety and worry and stress and sadness that appears, and saying, oh wow, this is an emotional component of the injury, all right, and bringing us back to, I'm gonna be okay. I'm gonna be okay. Okay. And so if we use sort of the way that we treat kids as an example of how we can actually treat ourselves, right? That when the pain is really elevated, right? Let's say you don't need to go to the emergency room, but the pain is really strong, right? You're trying to make them feel okay. You're trying to make them feel safe. You're holding them in your arms. You've washed the boo-boo. You've put a Band-Aid on it, right? But they're still crying. They're still feeling that pain, right? Well, what can we do in those situations? Okay, we can use some pain medication, absolutely, right? This is when the pain is severe, moderate, and severe, and this is what we should do ourselves too, right? Try every strategy that we have to try to decrease the pain. Try every strategy that we know to try to decrease the pain, right? Sometimes it's hard to, for instance, go into like a mindfulness exercise when we're in really, really severe pain. If it works, great. If you try it and it works, fantastic. But when we're in severe pain, we've talked about this in the past, it's difficult to start something new, or try a technique that you read about in a book, for instance. It's good to practice those when your pain is mild, when your pain is in a reasonably well controlled zone. Okay. All right. So when our pain is high, we want to try to do things that bring our pain down, right? Including medications. You might, if it's severe acute pain, you may have to go to the emergency room, whatever the situation may be. But when your pain is mild, when your pain is well managed, okay, from our perspective, you could actually see it as an opportunity. Okay, I know that I have chronic pain. And how can I use my chronic pain as an opportunity to help rewire my brain? And that's when all the practices come in that we have been discussing, in terms of whether it's mindfulness practice or breathing practice or loving kindness or a body scan or whatever it might be, that's when that comes into place, and it's sort of saying, hey, I'm going to start to rewire my brain. What a great opportunity. What a great signal from the world to help me rewire my brain, from less danger to more safety, from less fear to more okayness and hope and maybe love, right? From less anxiety to maybe some aspect of peace, right? What a great, wouldn't you say that? It's a sort of like, wow, that's a really neat, that's kind of a really cool opportunity, right? Not when the pain is severe. I just want to make that clear, right? When the pain is severe, when your child is crying and you've tried everything, right? You're going to try everything. Do you want to watch your favorite TV show? Can I give you a pain medication? Do you want a lollipop? Do you want ice cream? I'll take you, should we go to Disneyland right now, right? Yes, Disneyland. Okay, great. Like, let's get in the car, okay? I'm going to spend $160 on a Disneyland ticket so your pain can go whatever you're feeling right now, because your scrape looks like nothing, but you're still crying. Right? But that pain is real for them. Whatever that experience is, right? Maybe we don't see the injury, but it's sort of like, okay. So here you are, right? So you're doing everything, right? You're as a parent looking at a child, you're doing everything under your umbrella, everything possible, right? To try to bring that, to try to ice cream, lollipops, popsicles, gum, gummy bears, right? You name it, right? Let's go to Target. I'll buy your, I'll get you the doll you've been asking for 2 years. Really? Great. And then you get in the car and it's like, you were just crying like your eyes out 2 seconds ago, and it just stopped because we're going to Target to get your doll. You know what I mean? So I hope I'm sort of I'm sort of making a point here is that when the pain is severe, you're really going to try anything. You try anything to try to get it down, right? Whether it's medications, requesting an injection, maybe you've had this severe pain before, and so kind of a temporal. Okay, it lasts 2 to 3 days. I just need to take these medications, stretch, maybe take a bath, blah blah, whatever it is. And that is really, although it's really not the time to say, oh, I'm going to try this technique and that's going to really lower my pain. The techniques that help over time, that are rewiring the brain to bring it from this danger signal, right? Even in chronic pain, danger signal to a safe signal, take time to develop. And so they take time. So we actually have to practice it, and we have to repeat those practices, because that's how the brain rewires itself, with repetition, with the same stimulus that's coming in, right? That's how the brain actually rewires itself. And so we want that repetition. We want that practice. Well, we can do this in acute pain. Okay. Next time, maybe you burn yourself on a stove and it's a fairly mild burn, try it. Right? It's more difficult to do it when you're in severe pain, but if you've done it enough with the mild pains, then you activate it in the severe pains as well. And you say, oh, wow, that actually really helped decrease my fear, decrease this fear, anxiety, stress spiral that occurs, right? And then that enhances the experience of pain. Okay. So we can practice it when our pain is mild or moderate, even with acute pain, but knowing that acute pain, there may be a danger signal. We may have to take care of something, right? We may have to get it repaired or whatever it might be, but especially in chronic pain, with that knowing that the brain is still perceiving this, the brain may be mistaken in terms of this is a dangerous signal. Most likely it is. That it's no longer a danger signal, but my brain is perceiving it as a danger signal. So therefore, let me take the sensations that are occurring from that brain area and trying to rewire my brain to now perceive those sensations as safe, as being okay, as not harming. And that really, in the realm of chronic pain, when our pain is mild to moderate and it is well managed to some degree, that we can actually see pain as an opportunity to rewire our brain. That we can see pain as a way to actually go towards peace, go towards hope, go towards love, go towards gratitude. Right? All the things that we have discussed in the past in terms of rewiring happiness, or decreasing the stress response, or balancing the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system. Right? And then as we do these practices over and over and over again, maybe we set a new baseline. Maybe that zone of tolerance increases. So the zone of what we can actually tolerate as an experience increases. We're able to hold more in our awareness. So in those titration exercises, we can actually hold more. The acid is being dropped into a larger container of a base, and therefore it's not affecting the environment so much. Okay, so really using it when it's mild to moderate, being like, wow, let me see this as a gift and use it as a way to start to the practice of knowing that you can actually rewire your brain. You can actually rewire your brain and go towards love, go towards gratitude, go towards happiness, go towards hope, that sense of safety, that sense of okayness. All right. Okay. Okay, so finding a comfortable posture. A posture you feel relaxed yet alert. Closing your eyes if you feel comfortable closing your eyes. If not, having a soft downward gaze as you're looking off on the horizon. And bringing your attention to your anchor, your resource, a place you feel that you can direct your attention to that is safer. That you can come back to over and over and over and over again. Almost like coming back home for yourself. Where is that place that you can direct your attention to? And as your mind wanders, coming back to that place. And if you wish for this practice, bringing your attention to any strong sensation that may be occurring for you now. That's mild to moderate. Maybe an unpleasant sensation. Maybe it's an emotion or even a thought. And just telling yourself that it's okay, that you're safe, that yes, the strong sensation may be there, A strong emotion is arising. But that you're okay. And just seeing if we can oh so slightly decrease any aspect of fear or worry or stress that may be coming from the unpleasant sensation or the emotion or a recurring thought. Almost like we are taking care of our own little child inside, comforting it, letting it know that it's okay. Even if the strong sensation remains, it's still okay. And if at any point it gets too intense, simply coming back to our resource or anchor, also a place we can rest our attention that is safer. And really opening up to pain as an opportunity to rewire our brain as a stimulus, as a trigger to go towards love, happiness, hope, and peace. And now, wherever you may be, bringing your attention back to your resource, your anchor. Taking 2 or 3 deep breaths, opening your eyes if your eyes were closed, and just taking a moment to reflect on your practice today.